Over the past year or so, cubing hardware has advanced so much that even budget cubes can hold up against expensive flagship cubes. What is up, YouTube? Addicted Cubing here, and in this video, I compare Moyu's best flagship cube to date, the GTS2 M, to their top-tier budget cube, the MF3RS2. Well, let's get started. Let's start off with the general information of the GTS2 M. It can be purchased from speedcubeshop.com for $25.85, has the amazing Moyu half-bright shades, and comes in black, white, and stickerless plastic with a side length of 55.5mm. Moving on to the MF3RS2, which can be purchased from speedcubeshop.com for $7.95, which is the standard Moyu shades, and it comes in black, white, and stickerless plastic with a side length of 56mm. So for the round of general information, the MF3RS2 wins, getting a 10 out of 10, whereas the GTS2M gets a 9 out of 10. The reason the MF3RS2 won this round was because of its superior price and stickers that didn't chip, and because of its size, as many people will be used to it. The GTS2 has a good price for a magnetic cube, but it's not as good as the MF3RS2, which is almost 3 times less. Let's move on to the turning of the MF3RS2, which is very smooth and soft. It definitely doesn't feel anything like a budget cube. In fact, it's really satisfying to turn, which is why a lot of people switch to this cube as their main. As for the speed of the cube, it's very controllable and kind of slow, but that makes it so you don't really overshoot that much, which is awesome. The turning of the GTS2M is also pretty nice, which is expected because you're paying a pretty big price, but unlike the MF3RS2, it needs to be slowed down to keep it to a reasonable speed, because this cube is pretty fast. Also, the magnets produce a tactile feel which prevents some, but not all, overshooting on this cube. This round was pretty tough to score, but I'll give both these cubes a 10 out of 10 on turning. The reason I gave both these cubes the same grade was because neither cube seemed to have any distinctive edge over the other, and both the cubes felt amazing. And the speed was pretty suitable to most cubers, so I have nothing to complain there. It's basically just personal preference. Let's move on to the next category, which is catches, corner cutting, and stability, with the GTS2 M. This cube is ultra stable, especially during high pressure solves. It's really reliable. Plus, the corner cutting is pretty good. It's kind of snappy, so you notice it during solves when you overshoot, but it's not that big of a deal. It's better than like most cubes, but you know, it's something just to note. And the cube rarely ever catches. So the MF3RS2 has one of the best corner cutting I've ever seen on a cube. It corner cuts like absolute butter, no effort, and which really helps in solves, and no catches at all. But one thing is, it's kind of wobbly during solves, which sucks during high pressure solves when you have a good scramble and you want to solve it really quick. Since they're both trading off on equally important aspects of the cube, I'm giving both these cubes a 9 out of 10 on this category, because neither cube is perfect in this category. I personally prefer the better corner cutting of the MF3RS2, but that's just my preference. So what are the problems of the MF3RS2? Besides the previously mentioned stability problem, which is more of a nitpick, there's nothing wrong with this cube. It doesn't really corner twist during solves because of its mechanism, and it doesn't really pop during solves, but it's kind of easy to pull out a piece. But there's nothing really wrong with this cube. The same is with the GTS2M, as the snappy corner cutting is more of a nitpick than an actual problem, and this cube, it's pretty difficult to take a piece out, which is good so it doesn't really pop, and the corners are kind of easy to twist, but you don't really get them in solves, so no problems. Without a doubt, this is the easiest category to grade, because none of the cubes had any significant problems, so both of them get a 10 out of 10. This last category should be the most important thing you should look into before buying a cube, how the cube actually performs during solves. Most of the times when I solve with the MF3RS2, it gets me really good times. In fact, I've beaten my personal best with it twice. However, since it's a little unstable, when you're under pressure, it's difficult to solve very fast, which is why my averages on this cube are somewhat mediocre compared to the GTS2 M. But yeah, besides that, it's really good during solves. I don't recall getting any bad times with the GTS2 M, usually because it's so stable and reliable during solves. It's really fun to solve on because of that, because when you mess up, you can always spam TPS to get yourself back into the groove, whereas on the MF3RS2 M, it doesn't really like that because it's a little slower cube, so you can't really turn as fast. Because of its amazing stability, I struggle to get the averages that I get on this cube on the MF3RS2 because this cube is so consistent. So for the final category, actual solving, I'll be giving the GTS2 M a 10 out of 10 because it's so consistent, and the MF3RS2 a 9 out of 10 because it kind of deforms when you're a bit too rough on it and if you're under pressure. Overall though, both are excellent cubes when you're actually solving. My question goes unanswered though, which cube is better? To see who wins, I'll add up all the points, then I'll say which cube I personally prefer. Both cubes got a 48 out of 50, which makes them really excellent cubes, and I have to say, they are pretty evenly matched, but in my opinion, I like the MF3RS2 better because of its amazing feel and excellent price. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a comment, a like, or even a sub. That would help me out a lot, and that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching.